Nick Dunne, a laid-back man in his early 40s, is married to a striking and intelligent woman named Amy. Today is their 5th wedding anniversary, but unlike most couples celebrating the occasion, Nick seems distant and detached. He doesn't plan a surprise or buy her a present. Instead, he heads to a local bar. The bartender is none other than his twin sister, Margot. She notices the troubled look on his face and asks what's bothering him. He mutters one word: Amy. With that, we flash back to the day Nick and Amy met. Amy, a well-known author famous for her Amazing Amy children's books, was hosting a book launch event. Nick, a struggling writer working for a men's magazine, was among the attendees. The two hit it off quickly, bonding over books and witty banter. They left the event to wander the streets of New York full of laughter and chemistry. At the right moment, Nick leaned in for a kiss, and the two ended their night with passionate intimacy. Back in the present, while Nick is talking about Amy, he receives a call from a neighbor. His cat is outside. Rushing home, Nick is alarmed to find the front door wide open. He calls out for Amy, but there's no response. As he searches the house, he comes across a shattered glass table. Disturbed, he immediately contacts the police. Soon after, Detective Rhonda Boney and Officer Gilpin arrive at the Dunne residence. Rhonda starts her investigation, noting small blood stains in various spots. She also learns Amy is a well-known public figure, which means the case could attract media frenzy. With that in mind, Rhonda begins treating Amy's disappearance as a potential high-profile crime. Later that day, Nick is taken in for questioning. He answers routine inquiries, though awkwardly. Rhonda explains the steps they're taking. They're tracking Amy's credit cards, combing through forensic evidence, and planning a press conference to appeal to the public. Oddly enough, Nick cracks a joke comparing the situation to Law and Order. This strikes Rhonda as suspicious. As she asks Nick more personal questions about Amy, it becomes clear he doesn't know her very well. He doesn't remember her blood type, favorite food, or even her nickname. He tells them Amy didn't have close friends and mostly spent her time reading. Another flashback shows their first wedding anniversary. Back then, they were still in love, giving each other extravagant gifts and enjoying public displays of affection. But that happiness wouldn't last much longer. Meanwhile, back in the present, Rhonda continues her investigation. A pregnant woman named Noelle Hawthorne shows up at the Dunne's house, claiming to be Amy's best friend. She says they've lived just a few blocks apart for more than a year. This conflicts with what Nick said earlier, raising another red flag. Rhonda decides to look into it later. Inside the house, the forensic team finds more troubling evidence. Blood on the kitchen floor had clearly been wiped up, suggesting a possible crime scene cleanup. To top it off, the entire house is in Amy's name. Nick owns nothing. The next day, the press conference takes place, drawing a massive crowd. With Amy being a beloved author, her disappearance is national news. Nick stands before reporters alongside Amy's parents. When it's his turn to speak, he mutters a few stiff lines and oddly smiles for a photo, reinforcing the media's suspicions. Later that evening, Nick retreats to his father's old house to unwind. Detective Rhonda unexpectedly shows up. She's been tailing him. Furious at the intrusion, Nick kicks her out and storms off. Another flashback reveals their life after moving from New York to Missouri to care for Nick's ailing mother. The move strained their relationship. Nick couldn't find a job, and Amy had to ask her wealthy parents for financial support. Nick, feeling emasculated and idle, wasted time playing video games. Amy tried to support him emotionally, but their conversations often ended in heated arguments. She began documenting their unraveling marriage in her diary. 2 days into Amy's disappearance, her parents organize a community event to raise awareness and gather volunteers. Nick appears indifferent, even taking selfies with fans, further damaging his public image. That night, Nick crashes at Margot's place to avoid the media circus outside his home. But even there, he can't escape the criticism. News outlets are questioning whether Nick is grieving at all. Margot confronts him about it, and Nick finally snaps. He explains how exhausting everything has been and begs for just one peaceful night. Margot backs off, understanding his stress. But later that night, a young woman sneaks in. It's Andy, Nick's mistress. They embrace, revealing that Nick has been having an affair. Suddenly, his apathy about Amy's disappearance makes sense. They spend the night together. In the morning, Margot walks in on them and is furious. Nick tries to explain. He says life with Amy had become unbearable. She was cold, controlling, and emotionally distant. Andy gave him the love and warmth he was missing, but Margot warns him. If this affair comes out, it'll destroy him. She also shows him that he's trending everywhere, for all the wrong reasons. In another diary flashback, Amy writes about wanting a baby to fix their crumbling relationship, but Nick refused. One day, during a fight, he shoved her to the ground. Though he apologized, Amy began to fear him. She considered divorce but believed Nick would never let her go, especially since her parents' money was at stake. In the present, Rhonda gets the blood test results. The blood in the house matches Amy's. Things are not looking good for Nick. That night, Nick is asked to give another public speech. Just before he does, Noelle crashes the event. She announces that Amy was 6 weeks pregnant when she vanished. The crowd gasps. Margot, Andy, Amy's parents, all are stunned. The media goes wild and Nick is quickly escorted out by police. Back home, Rhonda confronts Nick with photos proving Amy and Noelle were close. She informs him that Amy's blood was found in the kitchen. She now believes Amy was murdered. All she needs is a body to make her case airtight. Margot presses Nick about the pregnancy. Nick insists he had no idea. Amy never even wanted children. Meanwhile, Rhonda returns to Nick's father's house and discovers Amy's partially burned diary in the furnace. Then, the story flips. In a shocking twist, we learn Amy faked her own disappearance. She meticulously staged the entire thing to frame Nick for murder. She felt he had destroyed her by cheating, lying, and draining her emotionally. She befriended Noelle just to steal a urine sample, which she used to fake a pregnancy. She told Noelle that Nick abused her. She even drew her own blood and spilled it on the kitchen floor, cleaning it just enough to leave traces. Then she wrote false entries in her diary, creating a narrative of a terrified, abused wife. Amy had planned this since the night she saw Nick with Andy. Meanwhile, Nick suspects Amy is setting him up but has no proof. He turns to Tanner Bolt, a sharp and successful lawyer. Tanner advises him to win over public sympathy and find someone from Amy's past who might testify against her. Nick remembers DZ Collings, Amy's wealthy ex-boyfriend who became obsessed with her. Their relationship ended with Amy filing a restraining order. Nick visits Desi, but Desi still idealizes Amy and refuses to speak out. Amy, now living in disguise in a run-down neighborhood, tries to keep a low profile. But when she accidentally flashes a thick wad of cash, her neighbors rob her. She realizes she's no longer safe and flees. With nowhere else to go, she calls Desi. They meet at a casino, where she lies about being abused and fearing for her life. Desi, still infatuated, whisks her away to his heavily monitored lake house. Back in Missouri, Tanner suggests Nick go on TV and confess his affair. This, he says, will humanize him. But before he can, Andy leaks the affair to the press. Nick's situation worsens. Despite this, Nick goes on national TV and gives a heartfelt confession. Watching from Desi's villa, Amy is moved when he says, "I will love my wife forever." Suddenly, she decides to return home. But there's a problem. Desi is controlling and expects a romantic reunion. Realizing she's trapped, Amy devises a deadly plan. She stages injuries in a bathroom with no cameras. She scars herself, wraps her wrists, and creates a fake video. Then, she seduces Desi and kills him during sex, making it look like she escaped captivity. Back home, just as Rhonda prepares to arrest Nick, Amy returns, covered in blood. The media spins the story in her favor, hailing her as a survivor. Doctors confirm signs of trauma. Amy lies that Desi kidnapped her. The world believes her. Nick knows the truth, but he has no proof. Amy becomes America's darling again. Only he and Margot know the real story. In the final scene, Nick tells Amy he's leaving her, but she coldly threatens to destroy him if he does. Realizing he's trapped, Nick tucks her in and locks the bedroom door from the outside.